all of the big YouTubers like Surronster and Logan Taylor are flooded with comments like, can I get a free e-bike? Can I get a free Surron? Can I get a free e-ride? And in today's video, I'm gonna be putting all of those comments to rest. I'm gonna be showing you an entirely foolproof method on how I was able to afford my $5,000 E-Ride Pro without having a job. And to showcase today's method, I'm gonna be taking my E-Ride Pro through the cities downtown and really just walking through all of the steps you need to take to buy a bike just like this one.
Move my body back and forth. 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 Move my body.
Alright, so the method that we're going to be doing today is going to be buying and selling. This is probably the best method for somebody who's looking at an e-bike for three main reasons. The first being you're just going to be making a profit, which is probably the most important thing. And then the second is you're going to be gaining a lot of technical know-how because you're just going to be working on bikes and you're going to be learning all the different things about them and how they really work. And then the last thing, or the third thing, is going to be that you're just going to be working your way up in power levels so that you're not just going straight from a pedal bike all the way to a 15 kilowatt E-Ride Pro 3.0, for example. Alright, before you actually start the buying and selling process, you're actually going to need something called capital. This is pretty much just money that you can use towards the bikes that you're going to end up purchasing, and I'd probably recommend having about $500. This could be from your savings or just from anything really. Now, the four best methods that I've really found are going to be, number one, if you're a kid, Christmas and birthdays, if your family is in the right position to do so. This is probably the easiest way to grow capital if you're a kid, and then also just working like standard kind of kid jobs, which are like mowing the lawn, doing chores around the house, or maybe cleaning a car. But then also, if you already want to get involved in the buying and selling space, the best methods are probably going to be commission deals. So commission deals are basically where you're selling something for somebody else and then you just take a cut of what it actually sells for. Now, I forgot to mention earlier in this video, but you're going to need eBay and Facebook Marketplace downloaded to really do any of these methods well. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to find sellers and buyers for the different products you're looking for. So I've actually ended up doing a lot of these commission deals. Most of the time I'm just doing pedal bikes. So for example, I sold this like dirt jumper for a friend, and also I have sold these two bikes for my dad, and usually I take around a 10% cut with all of these kind of deals. And the last one is just going to be selling stuff on eBay around your house. So this is like stuff that you don't really need anymore. For example, I sold this PC because I just wasn't playing video games anymore. And just finding those kind of things around your house is another great way to start earning that capital. Yo!
Move my body.
Alright, so now we're going to begin the Facebook Marketplace grind. This is going to be where you're just on Marketplace all the time, looking for good deals on anything that you can really find. I'd honestly recommend just looking at bikes so that you really just get to know the bike market really well, or just finding your niche in general. It's a lot easier to just focus on one thing, such as maybe you like laptops, for example. It really could be anything, but just finding your niche is going to be super important. What I started off doing was just going around to a bunch of my friends and looking if there was bikes that I could buy off of them. Most of the time, a lot of your friends may just not want to be doing all of this, like taking pictures and actually listing something on Marketplace. And that is really where you can get a lot of money and really just be able to flip a bike for a lot of profit. Because for example, I was able to buy this electric scooter right here off of a friend, and I was able to just resell that for about $250 in profit. And then another one was this e-bike which I got, which is very similar to like a Ridstar, for example, or something. And I was able to buy this for $200 and then flip it for about $800 or $900. This is then where I found an absolute steal after selling both of these bikes. I was actually looking on Craigslist, no less. On the off chance, you can actually get really lucky here, because I actually scored a Talaria XXX with 2,000 miles, so it had a lot of mileage, but I scored it for $2,300, which is a really great price. And at the time, prices were actually starting to go up, so I was actually able to get this for an absolute steal. I decided to then keep my Talaria for about 2 months, and I did a bunch of upgrades to it. I put MT5s on it, some riser bars, a float seat, a direct mount. I put a bunch of different upgrades onto it. After I did all those upgrades, I actually ended up listing it onto Marketplace. I had no real intention of selling it. I ended up listing it for $4,250, and I was like, yeah, well, nobody's gonna buy it, but if somebody does, maybe I'll just get lucky. So I ended up riding it for about another month or two, just because it was a pretty fun bike. But then I began to realize, well, the seat is like pretty narrow and uncomfortable, and also the brakes that I put on it were kind of just all right. They weren't too good, and really everything about the bike, I was just kind of looking for more. A few days later, after I was thinking about that, somebody actually sent me a message, and they were like, oh, I'd love to come check out the bike. They didn't mention price or anything like that, so I was like, well, maybe they just want to work a little bit in person. But turns out they actually just wanted to pay full price, and they didn't really have any complaints. So this was like perfect, because I took my Talaria XXX that I probably put about 3,000 into after everything, and I then ended up flipping it for $4,250, meaning I got over $1,000 in profit just off of that one flip. And I was like, well, now I've got all this money, let me go look for the next bike that I want to buy. And that was actually this bike right here. This is my E-Ride Pro SS 2.0. This is pretty much my dream build, except for maybe I'd want to get a controller, but that's pretty much it. So I ended up buying this for actually less than I sold that Talaria for, just because I was able to find a good deal, and I was able to sell my bike because I had good photos and all of that.
Back and forth, move my body. 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 Back and forth.
All right, so now I'm just gonna give you a few tips that I'd recommend when listing something on Marketplace or eBay, whatever the site really is. So photos are pretty much the most important thing when listing something. You need to have really good photos. So for example, these are some photos that I took of my E-Ride. Having those photos look really good is super important. You don't even need a really good smartphone or camera, like my iPhone, for example. And then after you take your photos, the next thing is gonna be your actual product description. So this is gonna be like, oh, these are the upgrades I've done to it, this is how many miles. Having everything detailed is super important because it just makes you more trustworthy. If you just say, I'm selling because I don't want it anymore, and that's all that's in your description, the amount of people that are really going to be interested in the thing you're selling is going to be really low. You need to have the reason you're selling it, the mileage, the upgrades, just like everything about the bike, so you don't leave any other questions for the actual buyer. And then the last thing is just pricing everything properly. Maybe look at a few other listings that you see on Marketplace, and then just kind of pricing it accordingly to what you think would be good. So maybe if you see another few bikes similar to yours at like $3,500, maybe just put it at $3,400. Your bike will literally sell instantly because you have got good photos, you've got a lower price, and there's really no questions that are needed to be asked when somebody's coming to look at your bike. But yeah, honestly, those are pretty much all the tips that I could give and the exact process of how I ended up selling my bike. And if you have any other questions, just put it in the comments and I'll do my best to try to answer all of them. And yeah, I hope you guys are successful with purchasing whatever e-bike you're looking for. If you enjoyed today's video though, be sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. That's gonna end today's video. Peace.
Don't say you love me.